So I'll give you a flow of how today is going to go. That'll be the first part today. So what we're going to have is several sessions. You had the icebreakers just now, where kind of get you loose and talking to each other and more relaxed. And then now we'll go through the vision of this year. Every year we've introduced some different elements, things we're adding to our curriculum, different practices, things like that. So we'll go through that whole flow. Then we have a movie workshop after that, based on what our principles are of this year going forward. And then after lunch, we'll have a special activity where you kind of get into the classrooms and scenarios of different students you'll deal with. It'll be fun as you all make it, but in a way that you'll understand how the classroom really works. And then we'll have Q&A and chai together after that. So any questions you have for me, you can ask. I'll have some fun questions for you guys if you don't have questions for me, but hopefully you all have questions, so think about what you'd like to ask. And we also have every day, the next week and a half, we have grade-specific teacher trainings on Zoom, where that's where we'll go through specific questions of each grade level. So the Q&A today will be just general questions you have or teaching in general and things, and then we'll get more specific in the evenings. So you see the quote here by Pujya Gurudev about vision, that there may be differing ways that we look at things as individuals or our own perspectives. Vision has to align to be one. Now the unique challenge that we have here at CMU-DFW is we are over 200 teachers spread across 3 different centers and now 7 different sessions. Smaller centers that I speak to, it's easier to be aligned because they have like one session, maybe 14 teachers. Here, with so many teachers, and oftentimes we don't even know all the teachers in our own session, in our own center, that makes that alignment that much harder. Now, the responsibility to take care of that alignment falls on the brahmachari. All right, I can't blame you all and say, oh, we don't have vision. That's my responsibility, so I'll be talking about that as well. Next slide. So right here, right now, this session then, we're going to go through 4 different elements when it comes to understanding best practices as a teacher. Not just as a teacher, but as any sevak in Gurudev's mission. The 4 steps we see are inspiration, vision, mission, and legacy. Where inspiration is, what makes me come on a Sunday morning or Saturday to teach Balvihar? At the beginning of the year in September, it's exciting. You get to meet the new kids. At that point, you still like your co-teacher. It's that way in that beginning of the year. Then you get to about November, weather starts getting a bit colder, might have a cough or a sneeze sometimes. It's easy to call in and say, and coordinators will kill me if I don't say this, so please let the coordinators know as early as you can when you're sick that, hey, I can't come in today, can you send someone else in, a substitute? And then you come back in January kind of rejuvenated from your vacations and all of this, but then come February and March, when things get busy, again, you wonder, why did I decide to teach Balvihar this year? Am I wrong? Has that happened to anyone? No one's gonna nod yes. Everyone's just staring at me like hostages. Okay, cool. Let's not be honest. But then, end of the year comes, and that last day of Balvihar, you feel sad and you say, when do I get to be in the classroom again? As teachers, we all go through that cycle. Inspiration is not that we constantly have to be energetic and constantly have to love coming here, but what is it that keeps me going year after year? There are so many teachers who are empty nesters. There's kids have left and they're doing their own thing. They're not part of our system anymore. These teachers still come back year after year. And it's not that they don't have anything better to do. It's that they say, without this teaching Balvihar, something feels empty in my schedule. It feels empty in my life. That's why I keep doing it. So the inspiration. Then the vision. A vision is only true if it's based on something valid. I can have a vision on anything. I can say that I don't like certain people, therefore I'll wage a war against them or anything. I can do that. I can also say my vision is based on selfishness. Whatever is good for me is what should be out there, and I will always look for my interest in any situation. That's also a vision. Here, our vision is purely based on Pujya Gurudev's vision. In 31 years after he's taken Mahasamadhi, which we observed just yesterday, inculcating that vision gets tougher and tougher as the years go by without him. It's our duty to really imbibe that. So inspiration, vision, then mission. Mission is that vehicle that Puja Gurudev used to spread this knowledge. Some kind of organizational apparatus where we have a structure, have policies, have a way of doing things that make this whole thing work. Where if you look at our Balavihar system, the brahmachari is a tiny part of that entire process. It's a huge machine, so many moving parts, so much behind the scenes, so much that changes on the fly to adapt to different situations. That's what makes this whole party keep going year after year. So understanding how can we plug ourselves into that machine in the best way possible, not causing a backup or any cog in there, but being an integral part of it. So inspiration, vision, mission, legacy. What is it that we're focused on as teachers for the future? Because if we're thinking it's just about this year that I teach and this set of kids, what impact you're having long term, you don't even know how beneficial it is as teachers, which you'll see later on. But understand that even when you're teaching a group of kindergartners who cannot sit still or pay attention, the samskaras you're giving them for that 1 year during that time, you're aiding in their spiritual journey. Never dismiss what you do as, oh, it's not important, doesn't have an impact. Every single one of you has a major impact in what goes on. All right, next slide, please. So, the movie workshop today, what's that going to focus on? Movie workshop will also focus on this 4-part framework of inspiration, vision, mission, legacy, where we're going to look at 2 films and see when the inspiration is not originally there, what effects does it have on the rest of the journey. Second movie we look at, we see that inspiration is there, vision is firmly there. When it comes to mission and having buy-in from others and the way to take this path forward, when there are problems there, how does that affect legacy? So different ways of looking. It'll be a fun movie workshop where you'll be able to discuss with each other. It'll be a good time. Next slide, please. Power workout. Now this is the session after lunch. These are those teaching exercises that I'm going to put you through. We're giving you different scenarios and see how we respond in them. Because every so often there are these challenging situations that we have in class. That's what scares teachers away. It's not the content. When it comes to content and material, all of you are pros. You study well, you can give the content out, that's great. It's those other intangibles, classroom discipline, or lack of attendance and not feeling inspired there. Dynamic with my co-teacher. All of these are the things that sometimes keep people from teaching next year. We'll talk about these things very honestly. Now when it comes to these exercises then, it's basic things like if a question is asked by a student, which teacher is going to answer that question? Sometimes they just throw a question out there. Now, doesn't this happen to you sometimes where it's ambiguous who the question is being asked to? 2 people will answer the question. One person has clearly a good answer, and the other person's answer is like, what the heck did they just say? That happened to me a few weeks ago at YEP. We were sitting there for lunch, me and one other brahmachariji, and they come to serve the food, the YEPsters. And then they were asking questions. We were talking about mahotsavas in class. So the girl asked, what is your favorite Holi song? Holi, the festival, what is your favorite Holi song? It was ambiguous. Who was she talking to? So we both answered at the same time, me and the other brahmachari. He said some Satvik Krishna bhajan that has to do with Holi. At the same time he answered, I said, Rang Barse is my favorite Holi song. So clearly one answer is something we want to hear. Other answer was honest, but maybe not right for that moment right there. So being on the same page even then, when it seems like a question that's a toss-up for anyone, who will answer, how will they answer, that kind of detail of being on the same page with my co-teacher. Next slide. So the whole point of this is getting uncomfortable. So we're talking about inspiration now. Inspiration only comes when there's discomfort. What do I mean by that? The famous shloka we chant every single week, Samasta Jana Kalyane, about Puja Gurudev. That's part of a text called Kritagnyata, written by Puja Guruji Swami Tejomayananji. 11 shlokas in total, 10 more follow that first verse, all talking about Puja Gurudev's vision. In the second and third shlokas, he goes into detail, why did Gurudev take up this work? And the reason he took up this work, it said, is because he was so dejected seeing the condition of Hinduism and Bharat in general. That discomfort led him to be inspired to work. Now, How many of you have been teaching for more than 5 years? More than 10 years? More than 15 years? And I won't go further because you'll say you're making us feel old, so I'll stop right there. I'm smart that way. After teaching for about 5 to 7 years, it's easy to fall into a place where we feel that, look, I'm still inspired to teach because I keep coming here, but the subject matter, I have it down pat, and I've requested the brahmachari not to move me from this grade. Okay? When it comes to a teaching style, after the first 3 years, I found what my voice and my style is, I've got it. When it comes to co-teacher, there's one co-teacher I really like working with. Hum dono do premi, dunya chhod chale. Brahmachari ko chhod chale. Because, brahmachari, if he wants to move me around, I say no, I want this co-teacher only. So we're very comfortable. When we're comfortable, though, we don't change. The kids definitely change, though. What I mean by that is a third grader in 2024 is not the same as a third grader back in 2014. Their media influences, the way they think, their likes and dislikes, their home environment, all of this has changed over the years. Our teaching must change with that as well. So the first part of inspiration is get uncomfortable. It's always fun to walk into a classroom where you don't know what they're talking about, how the kids relate. Getting to unpack that with them, that's what helps us grow as teachers. Next slide, please. So who inspires you? We have to come to the point where we are inspired by the students that we teach. That's what part of the icebreaker was about. When I do this icebreaker with the younger kids, I mean somewhere from 4th grade and above, every single group sticks to the 2 minutes. No group goes over. That's the first thing. If you think I'm lying, I'll do it in front of you sometime with the kids. Second thing is, every kid speaks in every one of the presentations. They make sure they facilitate that. Third thing is, they are insanely creative at what they do. So we look at these kids, and yes, disciplinary issues of sitting down for a long time, that's tough to do for them. Not speaking when they're supposed to or speaking when they're not supposed to, all of that, they struggle with that as well. Not just younger kids, any age group will. But see what inspires you about them. What is it about them that inspires you? That has to be seen. Or else we'll go in there with that attitude of, look, these kids are just like wild animals in here. I'm here to tame them and to help them out. I'm doing that kind of a service. If we see their strengths for what they are, that makes things a lot better. A lot better for us as teachers, and that seva bhava really comes out at that point. Next slide, please. So we saw inspiration, now vision. Important part here is to know Pujya Gurudev's vision. When it comes to knowing about his vision, we have his books available, we have his lectures available widely, all of that's there as resources. As Balvihar teachers, though, we do a great job of understanding the content we have to teach. Whether it's the stories of Bhagavatam, symbolism of Bhagavan Ganesha, the narrative of the Mahabharata, intricacies of the logic of self-unfoldment, we go through all of this really well. We have to bring in Pujya Gurudev's vision more and more in there. What I mean by that is the context of when he lived and where he lived, and what were his direct words and messages. It's not that every Hindu leader in the world says the same thing. They say vastly different things, even in the same sampradaya. There are things specific to Pujya Gurudev, causes he believed in, the way he taught certain subjects, what he demanded from his followers, that are very, very unique to Pujya Gurudev. So this year, when it comes to our teacher satsangs, the topic I'm taking up is the same topic we're taking up for the parents, is Hinduism 101. Crash course into Hinduism through the lens of Pujya Gurudev, where he's done logic of spirituality, he's done all of these different kinds of programs where that vision really comes out. He's written essay collections like As I Think, where it's a set of 22 essays clearly laying out why was Chinmaya Mission started, what is the point of this whole thing. He talks about why Balvihar, why Devi group, why do we have to have study group, why do we have to meet regularly. He goes through all of this in depth. It's amazing how crystal clear it is. And he wrote these essays in the 50s. That long ago, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. So let's imbibe that vision to really make it happen. Next slide, please. That also means special topics, where over the past 3 years, near the end of the pandemic, we started introducing various special topics. It started out with me and Divyaji going through. Divyaji, by the way, is not here because she's visiting her family. Right? She never gets time during the year to do it because it's so many busy things going on. So she said after Mahasamadhi camp, after YEP, all of that, I'll take a week to be with them, then I'll come back. So we're all missing her, but I'm glad that she gets that time with her family when she doesn't the rest of the year, right? Her parents don't live here in Texas. So special topics were Divyaji and I would go to each class, 6th grade and above during the pandemic, and online we'd go through, is yoga Hindu? Because it's not seen that way today. What is the significance of the swastika? How is it not a hateful symbol? Well, why is Hitler's symbol different? I went through academic Hindu phobia. That in the universities, what are all these anti-Hindu narratives that are being promoted actively by these schools? I also went through Hinduism in the media, where when it comes to news reporting like CNN, when it comes to reality TV shows, when it comes to fictional Netflix shows, how is Hinduism wrongly represented? How is that not just influencing outsiders, but Hindus themselves in this country? We went through all of that. Kids loved it. They said, okay, this is interesting, this is different, this is relevant to what we're looking at. Teachers, on the other hand, were a bit more hesitant about accepting it. Some criticisms that came our way were, Bal Vihar is about learning the values and the Hindu stories and concepts and all of this. Why are you bringing in this outside stuff? What we'd hate to see is our kids go from kindergarten to 12th grade, where they imbibe all these values, the logic of our religion they understand completely, they know all of our stories from Purana, Itihasa, all of that will be set. Once they get to college, they're so shocked by the Hindu phobia coming at them that they say, for the past 13 years, CMDFW, Brahmacharini Divyaji and Brahmachari Hariji, and all my teachers, they lied to me the entire time. Hinduism is discriminatory. Hinduism does hate certain people. Women aren't valued in the religion. They'll believe all that nonsense out there. That's what we're trying to stop, because we've seen it happen. There are kids of prominent volunteers who have basically lived at the mission all through their childhoods. Once they get to college, it's not just I don't agree with mission anymore, it's I don't agree with Hinduism anymore. The step above that is, as my parents, you all care about Hinduism so much, this is all nonsense, I want to cut my connection with you as well. You don't believe me? Talk to those parents that this has happened to. See the tears that they have about this kind of a situation. That's what we want to stop. We never want to have that again. So special topics, the next year, we said, okay, teachers will teach them. Now, this was met with some good feedback that, Haribhai, you have the luxury of being able to work on these things because you don't have a real job, you do this. Those with the families and jobs and all of these things, we can take on the current syllabus, taking on extra topics, educating ourselves in teaching. That's really hard to do. Not that we don't want to do it, it's just not possible. And so I said, okay, I apologize for pushing that on you. I've made videos the past few years past 2 years now, that you show in class. Grade-specific videos with sections for discussion and everything. All you have to do is play the video and that's it. This year, we have a team of teachers that have made the special topics for us. I've been working with them over the summer, so they've researched these topics in depth, and so I'll still be making the video, but using the materials they've made for the different grade levels then. That's the way we do it. That is that comprehensive vision that we're looking at. Next slide, please. There can only be one, meaning the vision of our teacher group is we are one teacher group. No teacher is valued above anyone, no teacher is devalued below anyone. So one thing last year, I made a gripe up here, and I said, I don't want to hear one statement ever again is, if I've been teaching 2nd grade for 3 or 4 years, please promote me to 5th grade. You can ask for 5th grade. You can yell at me for 5th grade. Never say promote to 5th grade. There is no promotion or demotion. It's not that those that teach higher grade levels are better teachers than the ones that teach lower grade levels. And if any high school teacher thinks that way, please let me know. I will put you in 2nd grade in a heartbeat. And let's see how long you survive before, like Gulliver's Travels, when all these kids, they overpower you and then you're like, have no power at all. That's what will happen. Or I'll put a kindergarten teacher in 12th grade or 9th grade. The moment when a kid's not enthusiastic and rolls his eyes when you say Hari Om, that feeling, you know how it feels? High school teachers, am I right? Doesn't it like feel like you're being stabbed in the heart? That's true. So some people cannot handle that. Some people cannot handle this. We're all built different. That's why we teach the grade levels that we do. Not to say that we shouldn't move around, but there's no such thing as promotion or relegation. This is not European soccer in that way. Okay? Now what I mean by there can only be one is, being one teacher unit, there is one set of policies we all go by, one set structure in the class, one way of doing things. Not to say don't have creativity, not have autonomy. I love the creativity our teachers have, but when it comes to things like class updates, uniformity in coming to teacher satsang, asking for certain permissions before doing things, like inviting a guest to come to the class, all of these things follow a certain structure. The more we all stick to it, the more we are on that one vision. Next slide, please. Honest feedback. So this, we've come to the mission portion now. Where do we get feedback for our teaching? Where do you get feedback for your teaching? Students? And their parents? First level I've seen where it stops at is with the co-teacher, where you say, how was the class? And they say it was good. Why? Because if they give you their honest feedback, you might give them your honest feedback about their teaching, so that we stay on good terms. That was awesome. I woke up at the end of your class, it was amazing. I thought it was great. You see? So we ask our co-teachers, which is fine. Co-teachers also give honest feedback. Your most honest feedback will come from the kids once you build that rapport. Where one of our high school teachers started this last year, last 5 minutes of class, he leaves the room, only the students in there. And what they do during those 5 minutes is they go up and they write their feedback on the board. So no one knows who it is. And they give a stars rating system, like it's Uber. So how engaging was the class? Stars 1 through 5. How much did you understand the concepts? 1 through 5. What did you think of the teacher's performance? 1 through 5. And they're honest about it. And when he walks in, if he sees a 1 star, he doesn't, who did this or anything, doesn't leave a camera inside the room to see who's doing what. He takes it honestly. Now with younger kids, that's harder to do. I wouldn't recommend that style for anything under 10th grade, but honestly asking them, what do you think of these lessons? Now, if honest feedback is hard to get, next slide please, thinking beyond today has to be part of that mission then. Where it's not just that, okay, this year, this class, we're getting it right, that's all we're gonna do. How are we building them up for the future then? So with our activities, with our lessons, not just looking at it as it's a 7-year-old student in 2nd grade, that's what I'm catering to. We wanna build them up for something further. Now, how is this done then? Where we have to be aware, what is the syllabus of the entire system right there? Chinman Mission Dallas Fort Worth has the most unique syllabus. As far as my knowledge, no other center in this country or even the world has this exact syllabus that we have. When Swami Sarveshananji first came here as a brahmachari in 2002, our syllabus was largely Ramayana based. Across all grade levels, different facets of Ramayana. Nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't too comprehensive in its delivery. Swamiji said we need to change that in different ways. The first few grade levels then, kindergarten to about 3rd and 4th grade, largely based on Purana Itihasa. So that the conviction is there that these are so engaging, so interesting. This is my Hindu history. This is what my people believe. This is the beauty of that culture. Kindergarten to 4th. 5th and 6th and 7th, what do they see? Whether it's Vibhishana Gita, whether it's Saints of India, whether it's Mahabharata, things get more complicated there. Where they find not everyone in the world is a good person that has my well-being in mind. That's a shock the first time that happens. Understanding that, they see what kind of persecution these saints went through. Vibhishana and what he had to see. The Mahabharata, where, oh my God, try to label someone as good or bad in there. I challenge you. It's tough to do. 8th and above, 8th grade, they finally see Puja Gurudev's texts. This is where they mature enough to take in that vision. 9th grade, Hindu culture. All these contentious topics, vegetarianism, Varna, Ashrama, all of these come up. And then finishing out their Balvihar time, 10th, 11th, and 12th, they go into Bhagavad Gita and self-unfoldment. Deeper topics that, I'm telling you, they're learning this at the age of 16, 17, 18. what they're learning, 95% of Hindus in the world never access that kind of knowledge. And we want to give it to them at this age right here, because they can handle it. That's the full vision right there. Not teaching for today or this year or this grade level, far bigger than that. Next slide, please. Share and inspire. So this is where we're going to talk about what new changes we got this year then. To create that inspiration for teachers, one thing we're going to start doing at the beginning of the year is every single week we'll have teachers of a different grade level post 1-minute videos in their teacher groups. So this can be not in the all teacher savaks, we'll find a place for it. I'll tell you tomorrow in your individual trainings during the week. But in the teacher groups, a 1-minute video of yourself talking about what inspires you to teach Bala Vihar at this moment. It can be an anecdote about something that happened in the classroom during that week. It can be something that you came across when you were studying for the class that you really loved. What is it that keeps inspiring you to teach, and how is that going for you? A 1-minute video that all the other teachers will see. So we have how many teachers per grade across all 3 centers? Per grade. So for kindergarten, for instance, 7 times 2, so what, 14 for each. It gets a little thin when you get to the higher grades, but on average, let's say anywhere from 8 to 14 teachers then. So these videos, when we see each other's videos like this, keeps us inspired, keeps us knowing who the other teachers are, and we keep going in that way. So some of you may be thinking, what is this, man? Like posting videos of each other talking about teaching? Let's see what the effect is. Let's see how that goes. And every week, so after the first 3 weeks, we'll start this. Week 1, pre-K and kindergarten. Week 2, first grade teachers. Like by the Wednesday of that week, you can post that video in the group. Just a simple 1 minute, okay? Don't make it like your news reports that went on for a long time. Simple 1-minute video of what inspires me to teach, and this year, what is something I've seen that I really love in the classroom. Creativity of kids. It can be the dynamic I have with my co-teacher. It can be the community environment. What is it that pulls you here? We'd love to learn from you. Sharing that with us, that'll create that inspiration. Next slide, please. S is for? Very good. S is for satsang. This whole idea of teacher satsang, where did it start? When we first had the Saket Center, there was no question of which session do you come from. It was just, there's Bala Vihar. We never even called it Saket, like going to Saket, because there was nothing else to talk about. No Chitrakoot or Frisco. It was just, we go to Bala Vihar. There was one 9 a.m. session that was there. That was it. After the influx of more kids signing up, we had a second session. Now, the problem with that was, when teachers were teaching, Swamiji would take the class for the adults, teachers complained that we're in there with the kids, we don't get satsang with you. Okay? And if you thought, those of you that joined the past few years, how Swamiji is so dynamic, in those younger days when he first came, the volume was even louder, he was even more expressive, it was like a different level of energy that he had. It was wild, so people loved that. So they said, we're missing satsang with you. People were saying, we don't want to be teachers because we missed that satsang. And he was like, whoa, let's calm down a little bit. I will have teacher satsang for you then. Between the S1 and S2 sessions, he would conduct it because the teachers requested it. Now we look at it in 2024, it's one of the most cumbersome things that you have to do as a teacher. That, oh God, we have to sit through teacher satsang. And I know we have so many different things going on. Even that 1.5 hours you dedicate to Bala Vihar sometimes is stretching your schedule to incorporate that. But if, as all teachers, if we have to be with one vision aligned, teacher satsang is the way we make that happen. So try your best to please attend. And when we bring people in as teachers, we're very open and honest, saying that it's not just that 1.5 hours that's required. You'll need an hour every week to study and prepare for class. You'll also need to attend teacher satsang. And yes, the videos will be posted online, but as you've been seeing the past 1.5 years, my teacher satsangs are not just me sitting there and speaking. I have you guys discuss and engage in discussion. So a lot of time there's dead time on YouTube where it's just nothing there. So people say, what is this? The real teacher satsang experience is when you're discussing with others. Because me sitting up here and talking, I do that all the time. After a certain point, it loses its value. It's boring just listening to me up there talking. If I had to sit up there and listen to me talk, I'd hate that too. That's why teacher satsang is facilitating discussion. That's when the real essence comes out. That's what we got to do. So please make every effort to come. Next slide, please. The world is a stage. We want the kids to have a bond with each other and enjoy their time in Bal Vihar. And that's something we really got to do. Because I was at Mahasamadhi camp this past weekend, and working with my fellow brahmacharins who are leading Chick West with me, we did the math. With the major centers we have in our country, like Dallas, they graduate probably 70 or more students per year, comfortably. So like that, there are about 4 centers maybe in the country that are like that. You got your Chicago, your Dallas, San Jose, Ann Arbor, like that. Maybe Washington, D.C., 4 or 5 centers, that 70 or more graduates. Then you have the mid-sized centers, Peoria or a Columbus or something like that, where they'll have maybe 15 graduates per year. In a good year, maybe about 10 in an off year, something like that. Your smaller centers, where they'll have 1 or 2 graduates per year, and they do a big celebration for that. It's really fun to see. All of that put together with all our centers that we have in America, how many graduates is that per year, if you were to guesstimate this? 110. No, there are 5 centers that do about 70 or more kids a year. Now, all of these centers put together, how many graduates per year? Let's say 1,000 to be conservative amount is 1,000, right? That's a good, nice round number. Out of these 1,000 graduates every year, how many have anything to do with Chick or the mission afterwards? Can you guess? Come back. Out of the 1,000 every year, how many come back? 50 at the most nationwide. 50 out of 1,000. That is a really bad batting average. So I wanted to investigate, why is the number so low? Because we try to get people to come to Chick, Bal Vihar graduates, they resist. So it's okay, honest feedback, what's going on? And they say, our Bal Vihar experience, especially after 8th grade, we have such a bad experience that we don't want to come back as Chicks. The few centers where they don't say it was a terrible experience, Dallas is one of the few where they still say they haven't found it too interesting, but not to the point where they never want to come back at all. There are centers where that happens, which means our high school experience has to change in several ways. So years ago, Swamiji, recognizing this trend, said, what we're going to do every year is have stage performances twice by the kids. In the first semester, 1 day with all the odd-numbered grades. Second semester, 1 day with all the even-numbered grades. Some structure like that. He'd give a topic, and from 8th grade and above, or 6th grade and above even, the kids write the script, they practice in the classroom, they perform up here, just a 10-minute skit. That's all it is. But the bonding that comes from that is on a different level. Recently, we had the Sitaram Kalyanam here. And so one of my former classmates came, who I did Bal Vihar with from 3rd grade till 12th grade. We were having lunch together. I hadn't seen him in years. We were talking. Invariably, the conversation went to all our stage performances, where he was our main script writer that wrote everything for us. Valli Subramanian's son, Ram Subramanian. So the way it worked, and we were talking about the memories, distinctly I remember, if he wrote the play, my character would die every single year. Every single time. 6th grade, it was on Ramayana, I was Ravana, boom, done. I had 10 heads, one of them fell off during the performance, and then I died. 7th grade, I played Duryodhana, so Bhima hit me. I was so scared too with that scene, right? Where's he gonna hit me? But he hit me in my thigh, and I fell and I died there. And then the next year, I said, okay, I don't want to die. So the play was on Bhagat Singh. Swamiji said, do it on different freedom fighters. Really good roles in there. I got the role of Lala Lajpat Rai, who gets beat by the cops and dies on the spot. 3 years in a row, I couldn't live no matter what. The funny part about that last play was there was a Bhangra dance we did at the end, so I came back to life to dance at the very end. There is video of that. If you try to look for it, I will end you, okay? Please, don't. I was the worst dancer on the stage. But the bonding experience we got from that, getting to know each other well, getting to know our teachers well, feeling that sense of responsibility that I have a role to play in this thing, therefore I must come and participate, that is what made Bal Vihar what it is. And for the past few years, with the pandemic and just getting back in the swing of things, we haven't done these performances. That is coming back this year. Now, this next part, let's see if you clap for this next part that I'm going to say. to make the play good on stage, to have all the kids in sync, to have all the parents bring them on time, to come to the extra practice sessions outside, to lead the class efficiently, to make sure you're covering everything. Whose responsibility is that? No one said Hadiji, I'm so glad. It is the teacher's responsibility to make that happen. So it will be stressful at times. You will feel like, okay, the syllabus is cut short a bit because of this. This is wholly necessary, okay? I'm telling you, the first time I ever spoke on a stage in my life was right here. I was 7 years old. 2nd grade, speaking about what we do in class. I was so nervous, I held the paper in front of my face like this, had the mic, and mumbled something. That one experience, though, gave me confidence that nothing else could have. That's what we do here. As much as I say get uncomfortable as teachers, that helps you grow, make the kids uncomfortable up there also, facing their fears. The growth they see is amazing. It really works. So the details of the play performances and everything and the specific grade level trainings, I'll give it to you on Zoom, but I'll tell you the topic now. It is various scenes from Ramayana. That will be our topic that we look at. And make it classy. Don't have them come out here with weird accents and weird costumes and just making a mockery of it. Humor is okay, entertainment is okay. Have it so that they have reverence for the subject at hand, and have it so it's a classy kind of a performance. Something that we'd be comfortable putting up on YouTube, as publicity. So this brings the people together. There are so many empty nesters without kids in Bal Vihar anymore. When they know the dates of these performances, they show up and come. Just like they do for graduation in the sessions, they come for these performances as well. So it's ingrained in our CMDFW culture. It's been gone for a while. It's time to bring it back. Next slide, please. More Bal Vihar. Okay, what does this mean right here? When it comes to our high school classes, attendance dips starting in 10th grade. And our poor teachers go there with so much clarity and so much enthusiasm. And when you see 3 people in class, it kind of dips, but you say, okay, this is my seva, let me teach. The next week you come back prepared. There are 3 people in class again, but there are 3 different kids than the ones that were there before. So you teach the lesson one more time, saying it's better practice for me. And then this way also, these kids get it. The next week comes around, there's 4 kids. Attendance has increased. None of these 4 kids were there the previous 2 weeks. So before you know it, this is almost December time, you have just completed chapter 2 of self-unfoldment. You've taught it so many times, you are now a yogi because you've understood happiness and contact with the world. You are now realized. The kids, though, you never move forward in the book. Am I exaggerating, or has this happened? High school teachers, with tears in their eyes, they're like, yeah, it happens. So one thing is, we need to engage them more outside of Bal Vihar so that they come to Bal Vihar. I look at websites of synagogues, mosques, and churches in our area. They have their Sunday school sessions, but nearly all of the major ones, on a Wednesday night, a Thursday night, they have some kind of in-person session weekly just for their high school kids. Every single week. Now, I'm not advocating for that, but what I will do is the following. So I was talking to my brahmachari friends over the summer at YEP and other places. Several of them teach a high school class. That while Bal Vihar goes on, the parents do study groups. This brahmachari will teach a 12th grade or 11th grade class. Now, that's because they're at one center with one location, 1 or 2 sessions, they can do that. Here, I thought about it. Okay, saying there's some sessions on Saturday or something, maybe 1 or 2 sessions, I can just teach the high school class there, not do adult satsang. But if parents and kids find out that I'm being partial to 1 session only, the rest of the high school kids will court-martial me and sentence me to death. That'll happen, which is not good, I don't think. So, to get around all of this, I still want to teach high school, where being a brahmachari is cool, don't get me wrong. The one drawback is I don't get to teach the kids anymore as much as I want to. I was a Bal Vihar teacher for 6 years before taking Diksha. So that was an amazing 6 years. Teaching parents is okay. I like doing it, but teaching high school is a whole different experience. So starting in September, I'll take a virtual high school class every single week, 7 to 8 p.m. Wednesday nights on Zoom. This is not just for Dallas, but the entire central zone of Chick West. So Chicago, Columbus, Ann Arbor, Atlanta, Alpharetta, Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, all these different places. The one rule I have for this though is, any kid that's in that class must be registered for Bal Vihar at their own center, and at Dallas especially, each kid must have 70% or attendance or above in their Bal Vihar classes if they want to attend my class. That's the rule. You cannot say that I'm not going to attend Sunday, I'm going to go to Hari's class. No, does not work that way. You better have good attendance in your Bal Vihar class in high school, only then do you get to attend this one. And some people say that, oh, it's a weeknight Hariji, they have homework, they have extracurriculars, all of this. Two responses to that. One is, if the interest is really there and they want more, they will come. Other thing is, what we're teaching them for life. This is about the part of thinking beyond just today. Your schedules are so jam-packed, yet you make time for your spiritual journey. Whether it's your daily sadhana, studying, coming to Bal Vihar, all of that. It's not just confined to one Sunday, there's more times where you take care of it. If we gotta show our kids that Hinduism has to be a relevant part of their life going forward, on a weeknight also, if they can make that a part of their lives, despite everything going on, it gives it more importance. Because so often we'll have sessions or camps or something Bal Vihar related, and the thing is always, oh, my kid has a debate tournament, my kid has a soccer game, so they can't come, all of this. How often do kids skip those things for Bal Vihar? Very rarely. Very, very rarely. So let's change the dynamic of how important we view Bal Vihar as. This is one way of doing that. And it will be workshops based on various high school topics. I'll take from Know What You Have, I'll take from We Must, I'll take from Hindu culture, all of this. Every week they'll have an original workshop that they go through. So I'm super excited. Next slide, please. Knock, knock. It's not a joke, I just put this up there. Last year, near the end of the year, in celebration of Pujya Gurudev's 108th birth anniversary, Divyaji and I conducted Paduka Pujas at devotees' homes. It was awesome. Nearly every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for about 2.5 months, we'd go to people's homes, taking Gurudev to them. They'd invite their friends and family, and we'd have a grand old time. And the connection and bond we built with the congregants through that was amazing. We loved it. So this year, we have another initiative in mind, where we are so spread out across the Metroplex. 3 different centers and a lot of people. We barely know each other as a family. And even in local areas, we don't even know the neighbors who are mission members. How many of y'all live in Richwoods, the neighborhood in Frisco, for instance? Do you all know each other, even? So I'm not trying to shame anyone, no. This is good. We did an event for Mission Exposure in June, end of May, where in the Richwoods neighborhood at one of our Sevaks' houses, we had an ice cream and gulab jamun session for 2 hours. You could come and go as you please. Invite your friends in the area that aren't mission people to come meet the brahmacharins and the board members and learn about Bal Vihar. In those 2 hours, we got 10 new families that came and got exposed to the mission. That's a pretty good rate for 2 hours meeting 10 new families like that. Now, the thing is, looking at the data mapping that we did, just in that Richwoods neighborhood, how many mission families do you think live in that 2,000 home neighborhood? 27 mission families. I was shocked too. There are various neighborhoods in Frisco like that. Plano, various neighborhoods. Irvingside, Las Colinas, Little Elm, and Prosper, good God. In all these places, there are anchor points where there are several mission families clustered. This year, Divyaji and I will go to houses that invite us. We'll do a parenting workshop. We'll do some kind of movie workshop, some kind of on relationships, different workshops or satsangs or stuff like this, unique ways of reaching out. The people there invite those others who are not part of the mission or part of the mission. Let's make pockets of strong mission support in these different areas. We're mapping the entire Metroplex. We've divided it into 44 different zones like this. Now imagine in each of the 44 zones, if there are even 3 strong families that come into Seva, come into mission activities with this, that's more than 150 new families that we're bringing in that way. That's the way forward. And this is not just concentrating on one area, saying that, oh, Frisco is the new place, so this area. No, 44 zones all across our Metroplex, where we say that, okay, Saket attendance is low because people have aged out and they're empty nesters. Do you know how many young families live in like Highland Park and Preston Hollow and those places? Let's tap in there. So I'm saying this to the teachers because the first place of support that can host these kinds of sessions, I'm hoping, will be our own Jinmyo Mission teachers. So I'll give you more details on this during those hour-long sessions on Zoom, but this is our plan. This is how Swamiji started in 2002. Grassroots at people's homes, that's how we built it up. Let's go back to that as well. We're really excited for this. Next slide, please. Time to celebrate. The session's almost done, I promise you. Okay, you'll get a break soon. When it comes to these 3 years, this is a 3-year party that does not stop. What do I mean by that? This 2024 was the 108th Jayanti of Pujya Gurudev. 2024 December, this winter, we're also celebrating 25 years of Chinmaya Saket. I cannot believe it's been that long. It's crazy. This opened when I was, second grade was the first grade I had here, in that big room downstairs. Plenty of room to run around and punch people and push people. So, 25 years of Saket means let's do something grand. Let's bring back all of our alumni for several functions and things that we can do. And one thing in recognition of this is, across all 3 centers, for 8th grade and above in Balvihar, we're going to bring back alumni every so often to be guest speakers to our students for 8th grade and above, talking about their career paths, how Balvihar helped them, how they see different things in life. And those will be maybe twice a semester will we have these people come in. And the good thing is, these alumni, a lot of them are people I grew up with. You know, they became hedge fund managers and private, investors and doctors and lawyers. I became brahmachari, something went wrong along the way. But these people have real jobs and they're doing really well in them. And when I ask them to come as my buddy, they can't say no to me. All right? I'm not so formal when I talk to them. If I say, hey, I want you to come for this, and they say no, I say, what do you have better to do? I've known you since we were both in shorts here as kids. Don't be an idiot, come and talk to these kids. And that usually works with them. So they're all accomplished, great people, and they can really inspire our kids. And at all 3 centers, we'll do this twice a semester, 8th grade and above. These guest speakers come in. So 25 years of Saket, we'll have some things planned for celebration. Now, 2025 is 50 years of CHIK. Chinmaya Yuva Kendra started in 1975 in Bangalore, 50 years. There's a lot of stuff going on nationwide for it, and I'd like to involve our high schoolers and our team of chicks in all of this year. So it'll be a big celebration that we have. 2026, 75 years of Chinmaya Mission. So meeting with Pujya Swami Swarupanandaji at Mahasamadhi camp, all of us brahmacharyans and swamins, he said, I expect huge events to happen. Where he's thinking in India, he's going to conduct something. He told us, I want each of you, especially from your major American centers, and he looked me in the eye, and he said, you need to bring at least 100 people for this, from where you are. So in our own centers, big things for that, internationally also. So the point being, this is a wonderful time to be a mission sevak, where whether it's 25 years of Saket, whether it's the 108th birth anniversary, whether it's 50 years of CHIK, 75 years of mission, we are celebrating all of these milestones, and it's going to be an amazing 3-year ride that we have coming up. Next slide, please.
Done.
Is it the last one? Let's see if there's anything I missed. Oh, just 2 minutes. Is there anything I've missed right here? Looks like, wow. Oh, one more thing then. Yes, last thing I missed. Teachers training is precarious because those of you that have the time to come and can swing it, you show up, we have a good time, good spark for the year, and we keep going. But it doesn't always last. January sometimes is when we feel that dip in inspiration. So in January, around that time, we'll have one more teachers training session. It won't be as long as this one, more of a refresher and something to spark, but something fun where all the teachers get together. So keep that in mind. We'll tell you about the date in these Zoom trainings that we have. The other thing is, even when there is a training, you come to it, those that can. Those that can't, say they want a recording and they watch it, it's still not the same. You don't get the same experience from it. Now, when it comes to, how many of you volunteered in the kitchen at Chinmaya Mangalam for the YEP course or Labor Day camp or anything? What is that one requirement we make you go through to serve in there? Food handler certificate. And the way you do it is you go to an online training and it holds you hostage for, what, 2.5 hours? Those of you that got I know what you guys do, but 2.5 hours of the original one that's there, and you learn so many things that are irrelevant, like how to handle meat and all these things, but it goes 2.5 hours like this. But the good thing is, at your convenience, you can go in, do that training, get the certification. Why can't Bhava Vihar teachers training be the same way? Where we make different modules of training, you go in there and you take up each of these concepts, get trained on it, you have your own feedback you provide, and then we know that you've gone through that lesson. That's something I'm working on with our Dallas chicks this year. So that by January, we can beta test it in Dallas. You guys are my guinea pigs, okay? So we can beta test it here, and I've been talking to CMW. If that goes well, they're wanting to take this stuff national. So chicks will be involved in that. The idea for this module-based training came to me from a teacher, which means if you have ideas like this, there is no such thing as a bad idea or a crazy idea. Don't I have crazy ideas? I'm insane. I have crazy ideas all the time. Some of them happen to work as well. So anytime you have an idea like this for something original, something different we can do, always offer it. Anytime. It makes us better as an institution. We all think differently. So with that, this session was mainly focused on giving you a lay of what we're going to do this year, what we have coming up, and I'll take your questions about this in the later session, but it's an exciting time to be in the mission right now, especially in Dallas. A lot of good things happening, super, super exciting.